Do you know how the legendary Nintendo 64 was born? If not, here we will tell you how it was. Welcome to Nintendomaniac. And this is the origin of the N64. The Nintendo 64 was a home video game console developed by Nintendo. It was the successor to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and the first console to feature 3D graphics and an analog stick. Here are some interesting facts and stories about the great N64. The Nintendo 64 was originally codenamed Project Reality and later Ultra 64, but Nintendo had to change the name because Konami owned the trademark for Ultra games. The N64 launched with only 2 games in the US, Super Mario 64 and Pilotwings 64. Super Mario 64 was a groundbreaking game that established the standards for 3D platforming and camera control. It was also the first game to use the analog stick, which enabled precise and fluid movement in 3D space. Pilotwings 64 was a flight simulator that showcased the N64's graphical capabilities and physics engine. The console used cartridges instead of CDs, which had faster loading times but less storage space and higher production costs. This decision caused some third-party developers to switch to Sony's PlayStation, which used CDs and had a larger market share. However, Nintendo still had some loyal partners, such as Rare, which produced some of the most acclaimed games for the N64, such as Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye 007, and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The N64 had a peripheral called the 64DD, which was a disk drive that allowed players to access online features, create and share content, and play games that required more memory. However, the 64DD was delayed for years and only released in Japan, where it was a commercial failure. Only 10 games were released for the 64DD, including an expansion pack for Ocarina of Time and a sequel to Mario Paint. The Nintendo 64 controller was designed with 3 grips, one of which had the analog stick. This design was meant to accommodate different types of games, such as 2D, 3D, and racing. However, some players found the controller awkward and uncomfortable, especially when using the analog stick. Some games, such as Mario Party, required players to rotate the stick rapidly, which could cause blisters and damage the controller. Nintendo had to provide gloves to players who complained about this issue. The console had several color variants and special editions, such as the Pikachu edition, the Jungle Green edition, and the Gold edition. Some of these editions were exclusive to certain regions or retailers. The N64 also had a Chinese version called the iQ Player, which was a plug-and-play device that had games pre-installed on a flash card. The N64 was a revolutionary console that popularized 3D gaming and introduced many innovations and genres that are still relevant today. Some of the games that defined the N64 era are Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, Super Smash Bros., and Star Fox 64. The N64 also had a strong multiplayer and party appeal with games such as Mario Party, Mario Tennis, and Perfect Dark. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video about the history of the N64. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell to not miss any video. You can also leave me your comments and suggestions, and follow me on my social media. Down below, I leave you some links that you might be interested in. See you in the next video. This was Nintendomaniac.